as far as diplomacy is concerned, I think this conflict between India and Pakistan will be not only be remembered for the military precision and other things, but also for the importance of diplomacy and the debate it ignited, taking the conflict at a much larger stage. So from the battle of armies and air forces from a military point of view, it also became a war of narratives which is still going on. Secondly, I think we made a very good decision very early in the conflict, and that was to show that kind of strength of honesty. So this was the first time that we very strongly came across telling the world that we have nothing to do with this terrorist attack in Pahalgam, and we showed a kind of confidence in diplomacy that we had never shown before. And I think that really, and this diplomacy on this one particular point started right from the top, from the political leadership, from the military leadership, and from the diplomatic leadership that actually set the base for everything else that followed in the domain of diplomacy. And I think it was because of this strength that when finally the military action started, that provided the base for the strength of our diplomatic performance, because we have often in the diplomatic domain complained that the Pakistan diplomacy punches far beyond its weight, because at the back end we do not have the kind of support that diplomacy needs to succeed. But this time the military strength, the strength of the people, the strength of the media, and the strength of the confidence that we were not involved, I think all helped in basically redefining Pakistan diplomatically. Second point that I do not want to go into details, we don't have the time. Second point I wanted to make was that Pakistan diplomacy was for a very long time boxed in a defensive mode. We were not really, we were reactive but not proactive. In this conflict, we saw that we were extremely proactive. And after the Pahalgam incident, while Mr. Modi was doing electioneering in India, we saw our Prime Minister, our Army Chief, our Foreign Minister connecting to the world, building a narrative which was positive, which basically was that we cannot afford a conflict in this region that would not be good for the region and which will not be good for the rest of the world. And I think that stood in stark comparison with India's narrative on terrorism and blame game. There are X number of reasons why the narrative of terrorism is not now selling. We don't really have the time to go into that. But I think the narrative of water, the narrative of international principles, the narrative of Kashmir being a core issue and that needs to be resolved, people were more receptive to this kind of narrative rather than the narrative of blame and of terrorism. And the other point that I just wanted to leave for thought here was that along with our military successes, I think it was the success of our diplomacy that ensured that India failed to sort of establish that new normal that it was trying to establish. That you raise a false flag, you go and attack another country whenever you want. And we said no, this was against all international norms. And I think we took a very strong stand on that. So our principled stand on the basis of international law, on the basis of security of the region, and our proactive approach of engaging world leadership when India was literally boxed in, helped us. And to be very honest, I think another thing that really helped us is the timing. I think the timing that India chose for this conflict, it completely misread what is happening in the region and in the world. And they misread China, they misread Russia, they misread the Americans, and they misread the South Asians and the Central Asian countries. And if you look at how we started, we exactly started with our neighborhood and the main players in the region. Therefore, diplomatically, we were at a very strong place before the conflict started. And it only strengthened once our military and air force sort of displayed their strength, and the world realized that we need to take this more seriously. Because if you remember, the offer of mediation only came after our response and not before that. So however fantastic our diplomatic outreach was, it only became more effective and acceptable when we displayed our deterrence value. And but I think that this is not really the end, and we need to still be very, very watchful. I mean, this goes without saying that, of course, our diplomats performed very well. Our delegation performed very well diplomatically. We have heard all that. But I think we need to be very careful on two counts. Firstly, I personally believe that the offer of mediation was a tactical move by President Trump. It was there to calm us down and to agree to stop the thing. I have no doubt that the mediation will not work. I do not see Mr. Trump sort of making it happen. I forget what did he say, that I am going to invite both of them to dinner. So I don't see that dinner happening. So I think, like the Iran negotiations and whatever, like the 2-week notice to Iran, this is also a bluff. So let us not be fooled by this diplomatic tactical maneuver. First thing. Second thing that we must learn from this conflict is, and I slightly disagree with the government's view on this, I think we are on very solid grounds from the point of international law as far as the Indus Water Treaty is concerned. I think we should frame it as an issue of, the absolutely existential issue that water is, and also as an international law issue that may lead to conflict. I think our narrative that the stoppage of water by India or not coming back or restoring the Indus Water Treaty to its full operational level would be considered as an act of war. I think that is going to give both Mr. Trump and the Indians and our detractors another reason because they would want us to start the conflict. So we are the aggressors. So I think we should not fall into that trap. And diplomatically, we should tread very, very carefully on that. And we should not put so much hope in the promise that the Kashmir issue will be resolved. So we need to be proactive on our Kashmir issue. We need to frame it. Of course, it's a territorial issue, but it is also a huge human rights issue. And but taking our narrative towards another conflict-oriented rhetoric might be a dangerous path to tread. I mean, now how our diplomacy performed, and how the world took it, we can sit here for a whole day, and the points will not be exhausted. So I will actually just leave it at that. And if there are any questions or any details that anybody needs, then we can sit around for 2 hours discussing diplomacy. But I thought that these were the key points that I wanted to just leave with the audience.
Thank you very much.